Hello Flosstube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen and this is my fiber web where we talk about cross stitch. I also have a little bit of knitting and crochet for you today, but they are just 3 finished objects, so I'm going to show those to you really quickly at the beginning. But then the rest will be cross stitch. I have finishes, a few whips, and some plans to share with you. Today is Thursday, January 29th, and I believe this is Flosstube number 53, which I think I said my last one was 53, but this one actually is. So my last 2 videos were my take on my whip parade for 2026, which is actually a video of the things I want to try to finish this year, not all of my whips. And then the video after that was basically a stash dive into things I pulled out that I would like hypothetically to start this year. Thank you to everyone who commented on that video. I am trying to keep track in a spreadsheet of everyone who expressed interest in working on either starting those things with me or pulling out their whip if they had it. So if I do plan to start any of those, I will try to reach out and let you know, or just mention it on here ahead of time so you have time to get ready and join me if you want. Okay, so yeah, I've had a couple of videos come out in the last 2 weeks, but my last regular Flosstube was maybe 3 weeks ago. So I'm just going to go from there. So some of these things you might have seen in the videos in between, but I'm just going to pretend that those don't exist. So the first thing I want to show you is a big crochet finish. So this is my granny stripe blanket that has been sitting in the basket behind me in my videos for quite a while. I finally finished this during the NFL playoff games and the 2 games that happened last weekend. I did the last few rounds. I basically just went until I didn't have enough of any. I went until the first time there was a stripe that I didn't have enough yarn for, basically. So this yarn is from Caron Big Cakes. The color is called Toffee Brickle. So the yellow, orange, red, and blue are from those cakes, and then the white is just a Woolies yarn. There was like a dark gray that was in the place of the white in the balls, the Caron cakes, that I didn't like, so I cut it out and I used white instead. And I did cut my yarn so that the stripes would end. So I bought self-striping yarn, color changing yarn, and then I cut it up so that the stripes would end at the end of the blankets, and I didn't just let it change when it wanted to. So I made it a little bit more difficult for myself, and I have a bunch of ends to weave in, but I did start weaving them in at the beginning of the project, so it's like 75% still need the ends woven in. And I'll show you, I'll put in a picture of this, I think, laid out on a king-size bed upstairs. I don't really know how to show it to you. It's I wasn't sure how big it was, so I laid it out on the king-size bed so I could measure it, and these stripes are just about 6 feet wide, and the length of the blanket ended up being just about 8 feet. So it covers the top of the king-size bed but doesn't like go over the sides, so it's not actually a king-size blanket, but it's very big, it's squishy, I love it. There's not really a pattern, it's just a regular granny stripe blanket. I don't think I used a pattern. I don't remember how I figured out how many to cast on. And I think I used a size J crochet hook. It's worsted weight yarn. That's all. So this is done, and it's nice and big. So it's like bigger than a throw blanket, but not quite a king size. I don't know what size you would call that. But I'm very happy it's done, and I'm not too worried about weaving in all the ends. I just have to prioritize that over doing other things. So like it doesn't bother me, but it's a lot of them. So choosing to do that over stitching has not happened yet. That's why all those ends are still dangling. And then I wanted to show you, I finished my Woolens and Nosh Advent Skein socks. So these are the ones that I was knitting 1 color a day in December leading up to Christmas. And then, so I started at the cuff and went through all the colors, and this light green was the last one, so this is where they started to repeat, and I did end in the blues, and the brown that I used for the heel and the toe was a mini skein that came with the sock set. So these are done. they fit well. I'm happy with them. I just did a heel flap and gusset, and I thought about doing like an afterthought heel so that these stripes wouldn't be so skinny right here, but I just decided to go with it. So I love the colors in these. Very happy with them. I haven't worn them yet because I wanted to show them to you first, but I will wear them now. And then the last knitting FO that I have, I don't have it with me anymore because I gave them to the person that I knit them for. They fit her well. She likes them. So I will put in a picture of what those look like. These were I used the pattern of Curling Mist socks from Helen Stewart, but I did my own cuff so I could put in the stripes that the person who I made them for requested. So I'm happy with how those turned out too. Okay, so that is all of the yarn content. I have not been working on any other yarn projects. I do want to pick out something that I can work on, a whip, hopefully, that I can work towards a finish. And also, I still want to get out this is my Stephen West Hybrid Knit Along piece that I started before the sale actually started, but this is the Reykjavik blanket, Houses of Reykjavik, maybe it's called. So I would love to work on this. I just haven't gotten it out yet. So if you haven't seen that before, sorry, that looks weird. That thing I just showed you is like a circle of parallelograms and triangles, and maybe I'll put a picture in so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so stitching. I think I have 4 finishes to show you today, which is very exciting, and a couple whips. So let's start with the finishes. The first one that I have was a round robin. So I did an Ink Circles round robin that was hosted by Donna of Stitch X Love, and I got my finished piece back. So I chose Elemental Dragons Water, which I had actually started quite a while ago with some friends, and then I just never was able to get myself going on it. So when I joined this stitch along, I think I had like one little piece of seaweed and maybe his head, and that was it. So I had to stitch my quarter of the pattern, and then I sent it around, and 3 other people stitched on it for me, and I just got it back, and I love it. So this is on an Aida. I'm not sure. I think it's 18 count. I don't remember what the fabric is. If you'd like to know, as always, you can ask me, and I will answer your question if I have the answer. And I picked out a DMC variegated thread, which I think is around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Yeah, so if you want to know the number of the thread, I can find that for you too. But it's one of the DMC variegated ones. So it is 1/1 on this Aida, and I absolutely love this. Thank you to the 3 of you who stitched on this for me. Love it. Okay. And then I don't really remember now why I decided to finish this. Oh, I remember. Okay. I think I posted on Instagram that I thought I would be able to finish this project if I did a strand a day. I'd be able to finish it by the last day of winter. And I started working on it every day, and then I just decided I wanted to finish it. And that is White Winter Moth. Sorry I didn't iron anything. I'm not going to iron it until I'm ready to fully finish it, so you can still see my nerd hoop marks. Which is kind of annoying in this lighting, but that's what we're doing, so sorry if it offends you. But here it is. So yeah, once I started doing a strand a day, I just didn't want to stop. At first I was going motif by motif, and like I started from the right side and I was working towards the left. So like I would do my strand, and if the motif was done, I would go start somewhere else until that thread was done. And since this is 1/2 on 40 count, one strand goes pretty far. And at some point I just didn't, like I wasn't satisfied with one, so I just kept going. So I finished it. I used the called for DMC shades on this. And it is a 40 count vintage country mocha, and I already said it's 1/2. And I absolutely love it. And I think I did everything to pattern. I didn't leave anything out. Yeah, I love it. I think this was one of my oldest whips. I think it was my second oldest whip because I started this at the end of 2022. So that made it extra exciting to finally get this done. I had tried pulling this out over the years when other people were starting it or doing sales for it or whatever, and I don't know why, I just could not get into a groove with it until recently. So I'm very happy that this is done. Okay. And then after that, I was in the mood to see what else I could find to finish. And I actually sort of auditioned a few other projects and only ended up working on each of them for one day. One of them was the spooky teapot. Sorry if you can hear my stomach. This happened last time I filmed too. The spooky teapot by the Tiny Modernist I worked on for like one day, and that wasn't the one that wanted to be finished right now. I also pulled out my design, the Otherland sampler that is not released yet, and similarly I think I did one strand of like green in a tree, and then I was like, no, this isn't it either. And then I think maybe there was one other project that I pulled out for like one day. I don't even remember what it was, but I wasn't feeling it. So I came back to the goals list that I made for things I wanted to finish and tried to pick one that felt seasonally appropriate. So I got out the reindeer. I don't know why I'm showing you this. It's done. The reindeer's done. So I'll just show you my stitching. Yay! So this one, let me see. I'm trying to... That looks pretty good. This one I'm also using all of the called for colors, so I think there are 2 overdyes in this one. It is chalk for the white and bright leaf, I think, for the medium brown, reddish brown. And I think I shared on Instagram that I'm a little bit annoyed that I used all the called for colors and their DMC, and look at how different, like, especially this tree, doesn't it look much more yellow than my floss? This is getting washed out because of the sun. Here. The tree here looks like a more yellow green, and the other greens look more yellow too, and even like the reindeer itself looks like more golden and less brown. So I think this photo was maybe just edited to look a lot warmer than it actually is. And also the fabric that this is on is a little bit darker, so like the white pops a little bit better. But I thought about changing the color of this tree and then decided to just leave it. It is washing out a little bit more on screen than it does in real life. Also, this is the chart that has an error in the antlers. So that top color that's sort of like the highlight on the antlers is charted wrong. And there is, like if you go to the Cottage Garden Samplings website, it's listed as errata. But I didn't know that. So I stitched it all in the wrong color, and I shared that before, and you guys told me it looked like there's just snow on the reindeer's antlers or whatever, and I decided to just leave it. But I do wish the greens were maybe a little more green and less gray. But I decided to go with it, so my plan for these is to do all 3 of the winter ones on this fabric, so these will be coming next. And I think they use the same greens for the trees. So that color they do. So those 2 greens will also be showing up quite a bit more in these trees. So if it continues to annoy me, since there's only one of these light green trees with the reindeer, there's a chance I might change it still if they don't look good on the other 2 patterns. But anyway, this is 1/1 because this is Ada. I don't remember if it's 18 count or 20 count, but overall I enjoyed stitching this, and I realized when I was working on this that with these cottage garden patterns, they feel really big, but there's like a tipping point somewhere a little bit less than 50% where it just suddenly seems more doable to me. That happened to me with Santa's house and this one, and the only other one I think I have done is October 31st, the one with the black bird sitting on a white pumpkin. So I feel like you just have to sort of power through the first like 25%, and then it's smooth sailing after that. So I would like to start the next one probably this winter, just so that it stays on the whip list, because right now it's not on my whip list, so the chances that I will pick it back up next winter are lower if it's not actually a whip, if it's just a one finish waiting for another start. So I might start the next one before the end of February sometime. We'll see, because I'm still in the mood to finish things, so I don't know if I'm actually going to do that or not. I might be lying to you. Okay, after that, I pulled out, this one's not a finish. This is A Study in Pink by the Artsy Housewife. So my friend Marjorie at Marjorie Made is doing a friend whip go this year, and I was picked for January. So I picked A Study in Pink for her to work on, and I rolled a die, and I rolled an 8, so she had to stitch 800 stitches. So I got mine out, and I also decided to do 800 stitches. So here is where I'm at with A Study in Pink. If I have a before photo, I will pop it in. But this was done, and I was just working in the wing, pulling the colors down. I was trying to get the wing sort of outlined, and then just filling in whatever color felt right. I did do a color conversion for this one from Stash, and I have a bunch of different things in the bag. There's like a silk, and there's some fancy floss, and I don't know if any of it is called for. There might be a couple that happen to be the called for colors, but most of them are not, I think. And this is on 40 count, so it is also 1/2. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I had fun working on it. But I have been sort of trying to mix up my projects so that if I work on like a 40 count, then I can switch to something that is on like 28 or 32, which is what happened when I was trying to work on those 3 projects that I like auditioned and then didn't feel like working on. So maybe I am just feeling the higher counts lately. Because yeah, everything I just showed you was 40 count. And then I have one more finish to show you, which is 28 count, but it is 1/1, because this is a full coverage piece. If you've been following me on Instagram, I was doing the same thing I did with Chromatic Dragon, where I put the 40 colors that were left for this chart on a tiny decisions wheel. I spun the wheel to decide which color to do next, and then just color completed it until it was done. So I shared all of that on Instagram. I got a lot of good feedback that people really enjoyed following along with that. So thank you for, yeah, just following along with my craziness and cheering me on. And I spun the wheel for the last time yesterday, and it's kind of funny. There was one color that needed the most stitches, and it was like the color of the sky, the part of the sky that was left. And it was on the wheel the whole time from when I first started with 40 colors, and I was waiting for it to be called so I wouldn't have to do it last, and the wheel picked it last. So I just finished up the sky stitches earlier today. So here is Skogafoss No. 2. This is by my friend Stephanie of Cross Stitch the Globe, and it is charted from a photo that she took at, obviously at this waterfall, which is a location where Game of Thrones was filmed. So she has a book called Cross Stitch of Ice and Fire, and this is one of the charts in the booklet. It's called Skogafoss No. 2. It's got a little over 20,000 stitches, and I think when I pulled this out, it was last Wednesday, and I actually started working on the sky, and then realized how many colors I had left and decided to get the wheel out. So between last Wednesday and today, which is Thursday, I finished it, and I think I was about 30, I was around 30% done when I got it out, so I did a whole lot of stitching in the last week on this. This is the only thing I worked on, and I think it looks awesome. And I wanted to talk about the rainbow, because when I first started this project, I decided to do extreme cross country with the color that was used the least first. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to stitch the rainbow, and I figured there would be like pink and orange, and they would only show up in the rainbow, and so that would be the first thing I would stitch. But this chart is actually like a really cool optical illusion, and if I bring you in really close, you can see that the colors in the rainbow are actually like brownish yellowy greens. It's like the 830s, 832, 834. And so when I was like wondering where's the pink, where's the orange, like there aren't any. But it does, this works perfectly, and it looks like a faint rainbow. Like it looks realistic. It works really well. And it was really cool to see as I kept stitching how the colors work together and make it look more realistic. Like the cliffs look 3D, the waterfall looks awesome. And when you're doing it like the way I was, where it's extreme cross country and you're going color by color, you don't get that effect until it's all filled in. So if I had done this like on the diagonal and like square by square and filled everything in, I probably would have been able to see that stuff a lot sooner. But doing it this way made it just sort of all come together at the end, sort of like, it felt sort of like a magic eye or something, you know, like all of a sudden it works. And I love it. And I measured it. I measured the fabric. This is 28 count. So I kept saying the last few times I showed it that I didn't know if this was 25 or 28. It's 28, and I did it 2/110 stitch. And I just want to show you the back because it got super thick and weird because of the way that I stitched it. Like this part is very stiff and thick, and by the end over here too, where there's more confetti. And then like the sky is pretty flat, and also the waterfall and the ground down here. But towards the end, in this portion, up here and over here, over here, it was getting like hard to poke the needle through because the back is so thick. And at one point I tried to do the loop start, and it just completely immediately shredded my floss because I was trying to pull it through 2 layers and there were too many things on the back. So I'm not sure how much better that would have been if I stitched it a different way, but I didn't, so it doesn't matter. And it's done. Yay! Okay. Also, about that one, Stephanie had pulled her project out because there's a new season of a Game of Thrones spin-off show on HBO. I don't have HBO anymore, so I'm not watching that, but that was motivation enough for me to want to finish that. So that's exciting. And then I mentioned in my video about the things I want to finish this year that once that was done, if I feel like working on full coverage, I'm going to pull out Cops by Unconventional X-Stitch. The artwork is by Maggie Vanderwall. So I'm really excited to work on that. I was thinking about working on that while I was finishing this up, so you might see some more full coverage soon. Okay, so that's everything that I have worked on. And then I was going through my notes and I realized that I have finished a bunch of things in December and January, and I've only started one new thing, and that was my full moon stitch, so I feel like that doesn't count. We don't need to get into the reason that it doesn't count because it actually only has to make sense to me for me to do it. So I went and looked back today, and I finished 8 things since the last new start I had. So not counting my full moon new start, the last thing I started was on November 2nd, and I finished 8 things since then. So because of that, I decided that it would be okay for me to start something new today, and that is I like cross stitch. Today is Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, Julie's birthday, and she is starting this as a start along for her birthday. I put up a poll on Instagram about which fabric I should use. So I'm going to show you my 2 choices because I haven't actually started it yet. So the first one is Fiber on a Whim Persimmon. This is a 28 count linen. These are the called for colors. And this fabric is a close match to what is in the model, what the model is stitched on. It's a little bit more saturated, so some of the colors don't have fantastic contrast with this, like this lighter green color. I don't know how well that would stand out. And then the other fabric choice that I have is this Fiber on a Whim Lugana 32 count in the color Kiwi. I stitched my Satsuma Street Monster House on Kiwi, but it was linen and it was much more intense because the Lugana just takes the dye differently. So this is a little bit closer to like a pastel than like an acid green, and it's showing up pretty well on screen. So these two greens that are in the chart, they're sort of gray greens, and they will read just more gray on this, but I think all the other colors work really well. So I had a lot of you voted on Instagram, and I appreciate that, and Persimmon was ahead, like 55% to 45-ish, but I think I'm going to use this one. So I'm planning to do a top center start, which is a big, like, Quaker looking medallion thing that I think is this color. So I'm excited to do that. And I'm excited to do this 2/2. I think, generally speaking, projects where I can do 2/2 or 2/1 if it's Ada go a little quicker for me. So I'm excited about this, and I'm going to be starting this after I film this video. And there's still a chance I might use the persimmon, but I think I'm going to use the kiwi. So there's that. And then also other plans. The full moon is coming up. I think it's on February 1st. So this was my full moon project that I picked for this year. This is 12 of the Clock by Kathy Barrick. So me and my friends all picked a Kathy Barrick chart with moons, or with a moon. And here's how far I got last month. I don't even remember which way this goes. Does it go this way? It might go this way. So I'm excited to get this one out. This is on a 28 count mystery linen, and so it is 2/2. And here are all of the called for DMC. There's not a lot of colors. There's these, oh, these are like the greens. These are some of the greens that make up the red and orange in that rainbow in Skogafoss. Very interesting color play there. And then there's 2 dark blues and a pink. That's it. So I'm excited to work on this again for the full moon. And then I was thinking about what project I wanted to try to finish next, since I just finished Skogafoss. And I think I pulled out a few contenders. One is Oona Owl. So last September I started a stitch along called Gonna Be Owl Right, Sal. I wanted to mention that some people have been getting the hashtag mixed up. It's Gonna Be Owl Right because it's based on the lyric Every Little Thing is Gonna Be All Right, but it's owl. So that's what the Sal name is based on. So I think some people have been calling it like It's Gonna Be Owl Right or I'm Gonna Be Owl Right, but it's based on the song, so that's why I picked it. I don't know if I ever said that on my channel. But anyway, I started this last September, and here's how far I am. And this one is on 32 count lock, which I only know because the sticker is still on here. And this chart isn't really that big. This is how I do my Flosstube now. Sorry. There's not like too many stitches in this chart, so I thought this might be a good one to get finished next. I did start 5 new owl projects in September, so it would be nice if I could finish one. And then I also am considering working on this until it's done. This is the Wings of Spring stitch along from last year from Velvet Pony Designs, who is Pony Stitches on Instagram, I think. This one is also 2/2 on this even weave. It's a mystery even weave, I think. And I usually get a lot of stitches really quickly on these patterns. There aren't too many colors, and it's like easy stitching. It's in Pattern Keeper. So this is a possibility. And then I also am thinking about picking up this again. This is Flower Dragon Meadow by Flossy Fox Shop. This stitch along is completely released now. I think maybe last time I talked about this, the last part was about to come out. So there are 6 total dragons. The next part is up here. I'm going to keep stitching it in the releases, and I like to color complete as I go, so I usually start on the dragon so I can get enough stitches in to have landmarks to count off of for all the other little things. And I have looked at the entire pattern now, and there are like some extra baby dragons, so it'll be fun to see how stitching the rest of this goes. This is 2/1 on this Ada, which still has a tag on it. It was a Friday night fight night, so it doesn't have a name, but it's Bestitch Me 14 count Ada. So this is definitely like a comfort stitch, and it's all DMC, all called for. And I love it. It's so cute. And I like working on this colorful thing when it's very gray outside. So those are the things I'm considering for my next, like, just stitch it until it's done, because that's what I've been doing. Also, my friend Sally at Flossy Sews and Grows, I think she's doing that for February. She is just going to pick a whip and stitch it until it's done and see how many things she could finish in February. And I think that's just what I'm doing right now until I get sick of it. I did say before that my plan was to do a strand a day on White Winter Moth, and then when spring got here, do a strand a day on Nature's Journey by Sprouting Lupine. So I would like to find something else to put on my Lowry stand that's a higher count for the rest of winter, and try to do a strand a day in the morning. But then I do want to pick one of these other things that I will stitch in hand to just try to finish. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I'm thinking about it. I want to have one high count thing on the stand at all times that's at least a strand a day, and then the other things I want to focus on finishing. So since I'm starting I Like Cross Stitch by JEDxStitch today, I think I'll probably just maybe try to get one motif done. I don't think it's going to be like I don't have any other goal on it. I don't know. I'm not like, it's not going to make it onto my list of things I want to finish this year unless, I don't know. I guess it could. Who knows? I don't know why I'm saying it's not. But yeah, I'm still very much in the mood to finish things, so I'm going to stay on that train as long as my brain lets me. What else? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Life update. It's very cold out. My boys have started baseball practice. So my oldest son is 13 and he has played travel baseball for the local school district's like feeder team program. This is his 4th season and he is in 14U. So this will be his last season before he's in high school. And then this is the first year that Gray, who's now 10, is playing also for the same program, so he's on the 10U team. So they're playing for the same program but on different teams, and they have like staggered practices on the weekends right now. One of them is in like a school district building where they can play in the gym and there's batting cages and stuff, and the other one is in like a dome that's nearby where they do like indoor soccer and they have practice there. So that is fun, and now that has started, we will have baseball multiple times a week until the season is over sometime in July. Games don't start until April, but they'll practice up until then. So that is fun. It has been very, very, very cold, but we did not really get any of the snow that a lot of people got across parts of the US this last week. It just got super cold. So my kids had a day where we had e-learning last week. They don't get a snow day, but it was too cold, so they stayed home and did school on the computer. But just for one day. I think the wind chill was like -35 Fahrenheit that day, so they were happy to stay inside the warm house. And I think this morning when I woke up it was like 1 degree. I don't know about wind chill, so it's been quite cold, but it's like sunny, and there was a little bit of snow, like maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches that I had to shovel, but it was like very powdery because it's so cold. It's not like the wet, heavy snow. I feel like I'm just rambling. I don't know. That's the life update. It's cold. Little bit of snow. Baseball has started. Yeah. I've been feeding the birds. I did see the other day there was a hawk in my backyard sitting on the grass with something in his little talons. and he saw me looking at him, and he was watching me, and then I looked away for 1 second, and I was going to try to take a picture of him, and I looked back, and he was gone with his loot, and there was just a little spot in the snow where I could see where he had been standing. So that kind of sucks. I don't want Mr. Hawk to think that my bird feeders are just like a nice little trap for him. So that was not great. But otherwise, I've been trying to feed the birds because it's so cold, and it's nice to see them, and they've been quiet, and like they're around, but they're not as chatty when it's cold out. So it's like a little bit more peaceful, I guess I'm trying to say. Or maybe they're just being quiet because they're trying to hide from the hawk. That's sad. Okay. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't have any words about current events. I will just end by saying that I hope that you are taking care of yourself, and I think it is important to continue to find joy when you can, and it's important to continue showing up in your communities, even if it feels like it's kind of silly to make a Flosstube video, or it's kind of silly to do a stitch along, or, you know, if you are a designer or something and you're like, I don't know if selling cross stitch it makes sense right now. Please keep doing it. Please keep showing up. We need to show up for each other in our communities. We need to do our best. I think we need to be accepting that other people are doing their best as well, even if it's not the same thing that you're doing. So I don't want to get too much into that, but please take care of yourself. Take care of each other. There was an Instagram post that was being shared around from an artist. I can't remember the artist's name at the moment, but it said something like, be gentle with each other and hard on the system, and that is sort of the sentiment that I have and that I would like to see in the spaces that I am in. So that's my outlook, and I don't even know if I'm making sense. If you've listened this long, thank you for being here as always. I appreciate you. I appreciate this community, all of you that watch me, that have subscribed, that like, that comment. And if I can make you laugh, even if it's at me, then I'm happy to be here. So, yes. Or not even laugh, just smile or shake your head at me because I'm a wackadoodle sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Happy Thursday. Hang in there. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. And I will hopefully see you soon. And I hope that stitching is bringing you some comfort, because I'm definitely leaning into that lately. Okay, that's all. Love you. Goodbye.